Hello, this is Mr. Kashmir. Welcome to a brief lecture on meaning of words in Shakespeare. So, this lecture video is going to be very brief. I simply want to show you what the expectations are when it comes to the things that different words mean in Shakespeare. As you know, Shakespeare was writing 400 years ago. He also had one of the biggest vocabularies of actually anybody in history. And as a result, there are going to be a lot of words that he's using that either may be out of use or may simply be words that you've never encountered before. And it's important, as you read, that you take the time to make sure you understand what the words mean. So let's get started here. Okay, let's just take the very opening lines of Act 1, Scene 1 as an example. If you are reading the traditional version with the glossary on the side, then Act 1, Scene 1 will look like this for you. Bernardo says, "Who's there?" And Francisco says, "Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself." And already we have this little circle next to the word unfold, and that comes over here. The word unfold in this case means identify. So he doesn't literally mean unfold yourself in the way that you'd unfold a piece of paper. He actually means identify yourself. So, who's there? Francisco says, "Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself." Bernardo, "Long live the king." Francisco says, "Bernardo?" He, "You come most carefully upon your hour." You come most carefully upon your hour. Now, you should notice, that's not a phrase we use, come most carefully upon your hour. Oh, great, perfect, there's a little number 1 here. That means you come precisely at the assigned time. Okay? Now, at this point, I've interrupted myself enough times that in order to really fully make sure that I'm comprehending what I'm reading, what's going to be a good idea for me is actually to go back and reread. Who's there? Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Long live the king. Bernardo? He. You come most carefully upon your hour. Okay, so so it's these two guys. So Bernardo is coming to Francisco. They're both sentinels, by the way. It said that at the beginning. So they're both sentinels. So Bernardo is coming to Francisco to relieve him of his watch. They're not sure who each other is because it's probably dark outside. And so they're trying to identify each other. And we find out that Bernardo has indeed come on time and that it's, I guess, Francisco's turn to leave. So what I've done is I've used the glossary. I've used the words in the margins to help me make sure that I'm making meaning as I read. If I'm using the No Fear Shakespeare, same concept, except for with this one, I'm actually going to have a full translation over on the right-hand side. So here's the Shakespeare. Enter Bernardo and Francisco, 2 sentinels. And if I don't know what sentinels means, it explains it right here, 2 watchmen. Okay, perfect. So, if that's the case, then I can begin. Enter Bernardo and Francisco, 2 sentinels. In other words, 2 watchmen. Good. Who's there? Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. AKA, no, who are you? Stop and identify yourself. Now, depending on how well I understand Shakespeare, I may want to read this side first and then this side. Okay? Or I may want to read this side first and then this side. All right? Or I may want to read this side first and then this side and then back to this side. Okay? It's really up to me. But please note that I've got the meaning of all of my words over here on the right-hand side of the page. So there's no reason that I shouldn't be understanding something. The only reason I wouldn't understand something is if I wasn't taking the time to read the translation. So you need to take advantage of this translation if this is the version that you are using. But you also need to make sure you're reading the real Shakespeare, because that's what you'll be assessed on, and that's what we'll be using in class. So, who's there? Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Meaning, stop and identify yourself. Okay. So he's like, who's there? Wait, no, who are you? Tell me who you are. Okay. Long live the king. Bernardo? Is that Bernardo? He. Yes, it's me. Is that Bernardo? Uh-huh. You come most carefully upon your hour. You've come right on time. Okay. So I get it. Now I can go back and reread one more time. Who's there? Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Long live the king. Bernardo? He. You come most carefully upon your hour. All right, and I know this guy, one of the watchmen is relieving the other one of his watch. Finally, if I'm using the graphic novel to aid my understanding, I can never use only the graphic novel, but it can help. As you can see in the graphic novel, Francisco is outside, and here's what's helpful about the graphic novel. You can see that it's dark, right? You don't have to infer. You can see that it's gloomy and that he's outside the castle. You don't have to infer, and that could be very helpful, actually, for everybody, regardless of what level of text you're using. So we've got Francisco out here in front of the castle. Who's there? No, answer me. Stop there and reveal yourself. Long live the king. Bernardo? Yes, it's me. You come right on time. Oh, okay, so I misunderstood. Actually, this must be Bernardo here. Okay. So with the graphic novel, one thing that you do have to do is you have to interpret which character is which. So it looks like this is Bernardo on his way to the watch. The dark figure is actually Francisco, who is being relieved of his watch, and then they finally meet one another here. Okay? Now, so I see these two watchmen meeting, and they say, yeah, it's me. Okay, I know who you are now. Yeah, and you're right on time. Great. Okay? This cannot substitute for the actual reading, but it's a great way to visualize what's going on very quickly. So one more example here of finding meaning of words. If you're reading the no fear version, you're going to get the no fear version in book form. If you're reading the original text, you're going to get this version, which is the Folger version. And just as an example of finding the meaning of words, I'm going to look at this very short passage here from Act 1, Scene 1. It's Horatio, and he's just seen the ghost, and he says, "In what particular thought to work I know not, but in the gross and scope of mine opinion this bodes some strange eruption to our state." Okay, so that's pretty odd. Now, I know that that is line 78 and 79 right here, which I can see off screen. Obviously, all the line numbers are over here. It's just cut off in this particular photo. But anyway, I know it's line 78 and 79, so if I come over here in the Folger edition, it actually translates it for me. In what, ... opinion? That ... tells me that it's translating everything from in what to opinion. So I know that actually it's telling me everything in these first two lines. And what it says is, what it means is, I cannot be precise, but in my general opinion. Cannot be precise, but in my general opinion. All right, so let's translate that in, or rather place that in here. So Horatio says, I cannot be precise, but in my general opinion, this bodes some strange eruption to our state. Now notice, it doesn't translate bodes some strange eruption. Line 80 is not translated here. So I need to do some work on my own. Okay, so I know he's saying, I cannot be precise, but in my general opinion, this bodes some strange eruption to our state. Okay, bodes means like foretells, or portends, or says ahead of time. Strange means weird or troubling. Eruption might be some explosion or disturbance. And our state is Denmark. So let's see if I can put that all together. I cannot be precise, but in my general opinion, this foretells of some strange disruption in Denmark. In other words, I don't really know exactly how to put this, but I get the feeling that this is a bad sign for Denmark. Okay? This is the level of reading that you have to do if you're going to be successful with this text. And this is the level of thought that you have to do. It includes using the glossary, using words that you know. If you don't know bodes, you might have to look that up on your own. But it really does require you putting in the work and putting in the time. Because without the comprehension, you'll never be able to have the discussion. Some options that are available to you here in the classroom. You'll notice that in the classroom we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different versions of Hamlet. So if there's a word you don't know that's not translated in the glossary, it might be translated in the margin of one of these other versions. You're always welcome to come check that out. Also, some resources that professional actors use are the Shakespeare lexicon. This is A through M, all words A through M. We have 2 copies of that in the classroom. And N through Z, we have 2 copies of that in the classroom. And these have virtually every word that Shakespeare ever used in all of his plays, literally thousands and thousands of words. Okay? If those have all been checked out, you can also use Onion's Shakespeare glossary, which is very similar to the lexicon. It's a bit smaller, but it does the same thing. Basically, these are both Shakespeare dictionaries, more or less. And these are available to you in the classroom. Finally, we have the iPads. We have a half a dozen iPads for student use that will be used in some lessons, but not all. They'll also be available after school. I'm here Mondays most days. My official office hours are Tuesday. I'm also here before school 5 days a week at 6:45. And there's some very helpful Hamlet apps that you're welcome to come in and use if you're having trouble comprehending. So it's your job to make sure you've understood the words, both on a small scale, a word-by-word scale, and on a larger scale. What do the lines mean? Who are the characters? What do the scenes mean? You should come in feeling very comfortable with what occurred in the two scenes, as if you had just seen some episode of your favorite TV show and you could recount exactly what had gone on. And this lecture is really just intended to show you all the various methods and resources that you can use to determine what words mean. We're going to go ahead and stop here.